Well, it happened again, didn't it? He didn't ask a question about the post office scandal, did he? He mentioned it, but
Keir Starmer mentioned it, but didn't press a specific question.
I'm never going to make another prediction again.
No.
So because he didn't. Well, let's just establish for the tape, because I hate to accuse colleagues of misremembering and mishearing things. You claimed that shortly before Rishi Sunak had attacked Stephen Flynn for trying to politicise the post office scandal, you claimed that Lee Anderson had been politicising it with.
No, it's very upsetting, isn't it?
I'm sure that not Lee.
Now then, the Horizon post office scandal saw hundreds of innocent people sent to prison. People like a former constituent of mine who went to jail for 3 years. Now, during this scandal, the leader of the Liberal Democrats was the minister in charge of the post office. In charge of the post office. This is the same Liberal Democrat leader who, in the past, has called for the resignation of over 30 prominent people in this country who have made mistakes in their job. So does the Prime Minister agree with me that the leader of the Lib Dems should take his own advice and start by clearing his desk, clear his diary and clear off?
Oh dear. And what was it, 20 minutes later, that the Prime Minister expressed his deep sadness at the notion of another politician trying to politicise this scandal. Natasha, do you think that 30p Lee knows what party the Prime Minister of the period he's referring to there, when Ed Davey was the Minister for Post Offices, do you think 30p Lee knows what party the actual Prime Minister belonged to?
Well, obviously we know that Lee Anderson did have some trouble with parties at one point. He was a member of the Labour Party at one point. We will all
very
remember.
Recently, during this period, actually.
Yes, probably, yes. So maybe he did not know that. But yes, Stephen Flynn, the SNP Westminster leader, trying to paint his party as the only ones that were not implicated in this scandal, because it has been going on for so long.
It's probably true, actually.
It is probably true, but not for anything they actually did, let's be honest.
No.
it was purely for the fact that they didn't exist in Westminster.
It's an achievement of absence.
Exactly, they've never been in government, so therefore they cannot be blamed for all the stuff that goes wrong. It's not quite what I would argue. But yes, the Lib Dems, Labour and the Conservatives rightly getting bashed all about their record on this. The Westminster establishment, this place never really changes, does it? Oh, it's a very bright and cheery comment from Stephen Flynn there, wasn't it?
So we need to work something out. We need to work out why Keir Starmer chooses to go after Rwanda again, when you might think that Rishi Sunak would welcome it as an opportunity to burnish one of his pledges, isn't it? One of his 4 unachieved pledges, the 5th being inflation, which everyone knew was going to come down anyway. But, we'll allow him that. Why is Starmer doing this? Why does he keep coming back to it? I
think for him, how I read it is that it gives him the opportunity to attack the Conservatives for being divided. That's I think what it looks like to me. They've obviously got so many different factions in the Conservative Party. There's 5 of them just on the right wing of the Conservative Party arguing about which amendments they're going to put down.
This is the 5 families.
The 5 families.
One of which is led by Mark Gammon Cheney.
Indeed. So all of those, that I think for Keir Starmer is a powerful argument to make. You can't hold your own party together. You're just fighting. My party's united. We will come in and be the bit more the grown-ups in the room. And that's what I think he's trying to make. And obviously, I don't think he was as strong as he was as some of the other Prime Minister's Christians going in on migration, perhaps because Rwanda hasn't quite surfaced to the top of the news agenda yet, and it will next week. And I'm sure next week we will be absolutely in the thick of Rwanda rows within the Conservative Party and government about whether they will accept any of these amendments, what changes will they make, what won't they make. So it probably wasn't as strong as it could have been, and it has been from Keir Starmer in recent weeks. But it does, put the light onto Rishi Sunak to talk about his plan. How is he going to solve it? And like you say, it is a promise he's made to the electorate.
Yeah, and it's got that. I mean, he's right actually on the unity thing. I mean, whether or not everyone on the Labour benches is happy with Labour's position on these issues is moot, because no one's publicly attacking it.
Doesn't matter because no one's talking about it.
And yet, Sunak's under attack from every wing of the party. Is there also? I'm intrigued by this, more intrigued than usual actually. Is there a sense that there is a millstone round Rishi Sunak's neck. That reference to what his opinion was originally when Johnson first mooted. Was it Johnson who first mooted the idea? It's so hard to remember.
It was Boris Johnson and Priti Patel. And, Rishi Sunak, obviously as Chancellor, had to sign off the money for this scheme.
Yes.
We've had lots of reports in the press this week about the fact that he considered scrapping it reportedly last year when he was running to be Tory leader. He thought about it and decided not to, that he actually tried to scale back the ambition of the Rwanda scheme. Again, reports that have been sort of slapped down by Downing Street, but not fully, which I presume means there is
they
some
know
truth.
There's something somewhere that could come back to bite them on the bum.
Exactly. And I think it really goes to show that Rishi Sunak and so many prime ministers, they are so affected by issues that are very far out of their control. If you look at all the things that Rishi Sunak is having to deal with, the post office scandal, years in the making, migration issues, Rwanda, that was a plan that Boris Johnson, Priti Patel came up with, not him. Even in terms of topical issues, Gaza and Ukraine, again, not something that he has any control over. Prime ministers so much these days are so driven by events, and they have to respond to them.
Well, also evidence again, notwithstanding what you said about him being good at details, he can't choose between politics or populism, and he's not very good at either. So Johnson goes all in on populism, which is how you end up with something like the Rwanda thing. But by the time Sunak is in post, the Rwanda thing is so well bedded in that he can't follow his instincts, which are probably more pragmatic stroke political, which would be to get rid of it because it's stupid and almost certainly unworkable. But the populism has bitten by then, and he's got people on his own party who won't let him get rid of it because they think they're going to be, Suella Braverman's dreams are going to come true and planes are going to be taking off on the front page of the Daily Telegraph. So I find him, this is the closest I ever come to mustering up sympathy for Rishi Sunak, and it's not sympathy by any stretch of the imagination. He can't be a populist because it flies in the face of all of his instincts and attributes and pasts. But I think what he's been taken by surprise by is the fact that he's not very good at politics either, partly for the reasons you explain, in that they're not spreadsheets. These are not things where you tweak that number there and that number there falls out the bottom. These are big, ugly, amorphous, unfolding scenarios and situations which you simply cannot control. So if he is a bit of a control freak, which has been claimed in the past, this is the worst imaginable sort of political territory for him to find himself on. And I think Starmer goes after the Rwanda thing because he senses Sunak actually, deep down in his heart of hearts, he really hates it.
Yeah, I think that's fair. And going back to what we were saying at the beginning about Sir Keir Starmer wanted to be seen as that, guy, public service, a detailed man, a good man, a principled man, Rishi Sunak can't go back to that. He is a details man as well. He wants to be shown to doing something that works. But he's pushing something which he is not sure, and the government is not sure, will ever work, which is something that's very much against, I think, Rishi Sunak's character. And he's trying to do that to appeal to his own party and to appeal to what he thinks the country wants to see from him. But yes, he is somebody that thinks if you work hard in life, you do the right thing, you pick the right decisions, you stick by them, you have principles, you should be able to get on. But the polls for the Conservative Party show very, very much that's not the case right now. And nobody is buying into this vision from Rishi Sunak. He's trying to walk this tightrope between doing the right thing but also appealing to the party and country, and he can't do either.
This is the mad bit, because I'm thinking this before Christmas, and Starmer picked up on it today, and I think we'll see more of this in the coming weeks, is the fundamental absurdity of Rishi Sunak constantly praising himself for doing a brilliant job. Every speech he gives, he's claiming, it's almost in sort of, was it Wilson and Macmillan who said you've never had it so good? We're almost in that sort of territory. So everyone's looking at their pay packet or their electricity bill or their mortgage payments or their rent, and Rishi Sunak's popping up on the telly all the time saying, I'm doing a fantastic job and we're going to continue being brilliant. And Starmer, I think, for the first time just began to tug at that thread today. And if he tugs a little harder, that's going to unravel fairly quickly.
Yeah, and I think, it goes back to what he said on Monday. Obviously, they're road testing some things for the election, aren't they? They're looking at what phrases might work. And the best they can come up with at the moment is the country is pointing in the right direction.
Yeah, that's a relief. I mean, that's surely...
Is it? Well, firstly, many people will say, is it? And again, going back to square one with Keir Starmer, that's another attack. And I think that doesn't... I don't know if that's going to work. People are going to go, well, actually, what square are we on?
Yeah.
We're at square 1,
37.
10, 20...
37.
37. Okay,
Yeah.
Square 37's not looking brilliant,
It's not, is it? No. but we don't want to go back to square one.